Welcome to podcast Sarah and Michael.
I gotta say, the sheer volume of geopolitical news just pouring in lately has been like completely overwhelming.
Oh, it's absolutely exhausting. I mean, my inbox has just been nonstop alerts since, what, Tuesday? It's relentless.
Right. Yeah, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose, honestly. I don't even know how anyone keeps up.
You really can't. You just have to pick a focal point and hold on.
Yeah, which is exactly what we're doing today. So, welcome to the deep dive, everyone.
Glad to be here.
Today, our mission is to unpack this highly volatile, brand new diplomatic proposal that was just sent from Iran to the United States.
And it is a massive development.
Totally. And to do this right, we are pulling insights from a pretty heavy stack of sources to give you, a 360-degree view.
Right. So we're looking at international analysis from the Wall Street Journal, regional reporting from Al Jazeera, and some really detailed geopolitical coverage from Tyroth.
Yeah, because we really need all those angles. And I want to set the hook for you right now, because this isn't just like a story about politicians talking in closed rooms.
No, not at all.
This involves imminent military threats, huge potential shock waves to the global economy, and a showdown over what is undeniably one of the most critical waterways on the entire planet.
The Strait of Hormuz.
Exactly, the Strait of Hormuz. And if you're hearing this and wondering, like, why an argument over a narrow stretch of water halfway across the world matters to your daily life, well, just look at your next grocery receipt.
Or, the numbers ticking up at your local gas pump. It's all connected.
100%. But to really understand the weight of this new proposal, we kind of have to look at the rubble it's being built on, right? Like, the timeline here is super crucial.
It is. We actually need to rewind a bit, specifically to the end of February.
Right, February 28th, 2026.
Exactly. That date marks the opening of this current phase of intense conflict between the U.S.-Israel coalition and Iran.
And it has been a brutal couple of months.
Very brutal. The physical destruction and just like the broad regional instability that kicked off then, it lasted relentlessly until a temporary ceasefire was finally hammered out.
Which was just recently.
Yeah, April 8th. So just a few weeks ago.
But I mean, a ceasefire isn't a peace treaty. It's just, everyone agreeing to temporarily take their fingers off the triggers so they can talk.
Right, a pause. But those post-ceasefire talks completely collapsed.
And that's what I'm stuck on. I mean, if the ceasefire was just 3 weeks ago on April 8th, how did the diplomatic process break down so fast that they're already, resorting to back channels?
Well, the initial expectation was that the pause would provide a window.
Right.
Right, a chance to address the underlying structural issues.
Sure, that makes sense.
But the political toxicity on both sides was just overwhelming. I mean, you had negotiators sitting at these tables where any concession, literally anything, was viewed by their domestic audiences as a total surrender.
Oh, wow. So they were basically paralyzed.
Completely. The talks didn't just stall, they cratered. And since then, direct communication has been totally non-existent.
Because nobody wants to look weak.
Exactly. Neither side wanted to project weakness by being the first one to pick up the red phone.
Which brings us to this past Thursday evening, April 30th.
Right.
The silence finally breaks. Iran drafts a brand new proposal, but, and this is the wild part, they don't send it straight to Washington.
No, they hand it over to Pakistan.
Right. So using Pakistan as a back-channel mediator, which is, I guess, a calculated logistical move.
Oh, absolutely. Iran hands the draft to diplomats in Islamabad, who then securely transmit that framework over to the U.S. State Department.
Okay, wait, I have to ask. How does an indirect negotiation actually work in practice? Like, are Pakistani diplomats just forwarding encrypted PDFs? Or...
No. It is much more than a courier service.
Okay, so they're actively translating the diplomatic subtext then.
Exactly. In high-stakes shuttle diplomacy like this, the mediator really acts as a shock absorber.
A shock absorber. I like that.
Yeah, because when direct talks fail, the rhetoric is usually just too inflamed for the principals to even sit in the same room.
It's like passing a note through a mutual friend because the two parties are just too angry to speak directly.
That's a perfect way to put it. Except in this case, the stakes are global warfare.
Right. Just a slight difference in stakes.
Just a bit. But Pakistan has established channels with both Tehran and Washington, so it provides this layer of deniability.
So Iran can float a sensitive proposal without officially committing to it on the world stage.
Exactly. It keeps them from adopting a vulnerable diplomatic posture. The mediators interpret the tone, They gauge the immediate reactions, and they help smooth out the sharpest edges of the demands before any official response is drafted.
So they get to test the waters without taking a bath.
Precisely.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's look at the actual contents of this note that got passed through Islamabad. Because looking at the sources, Iran's strategy seems to have shifted pretty dramatically here.
It's a huge shift.
So what are the main points they actually put on the table?
Well, the absolute center of gravity for this entire proposal is the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay.
Iran is officially offering to sit down and discuss the conditions for reopening this incredibly strategic waterway.
But there's a catch, obviously.
A very big catch. They are linking that reopening to a very specific set of demands. Basically, in exchange for negotiating the strait, Iran wants the U.S. to guarantee an end to all maritime blockades and to cease all military attacks on Iranian ports.
Got it. And they threw the nuclear issue into the mix as well, right?
They did, yeah. They are linking their willingness to discuss their controversial nuclear program directly to the easing of U.S. economic sanctions.
Wow.
Yeah. They are framing this as a comprehensive package deal, and they explicitly stated that they are ready to begin these mediated talks in Pakistan as early as next week.
As early as next week. Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
If they're offering to negotiate the opening of the strait in exchange for lifting sanctions, aren't they basically admitting to holding a vital global trade route hostage for economic relief?
I mean, that is precisely the narrative in Washington right now.
It seems pretty obvious.
It does. But to understand the mechanics of what Iran is actually offering here, we really have to look at the shift in their timeline of demands.
What do you mean?
So, prior to this Thursday proposal, Iran's unbending prerequisite was that the U.S. must lift all blockades and economic sanctions before Iranian diplomats would even pull out a chair at the negotiating table.
Oh, so it was like, give us everything we want up front, then we'll consider talking.
Yes, exactly. It was a sequenced demand. But this new framework, it offers concurrent negotiations.
Oh.
They are proposing a parallel process. They're basically saying, we will sit down and discuss opening the Strait of Hormuz and our nuclear program at the exact same moment you discuss lifting sanctions and ending port attacks.
Okay, so it's a structural shift from demanding everything up front to offering like a synchronized de-escalation.
Exactly. It's a massive shift in their diplomatic posture.
Just to give everyone a mental map of why this one specific waterway is the ultimate bargaining chip. The Strait of Hormuz is this narrow stretch of water connecting the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman, right?
Right. And eventually to the open ocean.
Right. And at its narrowest point, it's only about 21 miles wide. But the actual shipping lanes, like the deep water that's actually navigable by those massive oil supertankers, those are only 2 miles wide in either direction.
2 miles. It is the ultimate geographic bottleneck.
It really is.
Yeah.
So by putting it explicitly on the negotiating table, Iran is effectively weaponizing its geography.
They really are. They are openly acknowledging that the physical flow of global energy is their highest value asset against American supremacy.
Because it hurts.
Yeah, it's a lever they can pull that causes immediate, measurable pain in Western markets.
So Iran wants to negotiate the strait concurrently with sanctions relief. But while they are passing notes through Pakistan about these potential negotiations, the U.S. Treasury hasn't just been sitting around.
Not at all.
They've already started this quiet war in those exact same waters. Like, the U.S. is actively squeezing international shipping. Let's dig into the financial warfare side of this.
Yeah, because the physical military presence in the region is really only half of the U.S. strategy. The other half is the complete weaponization of the global financial system.
Right. Washington recently issued a really stark warning to all these international shipping conglomerates.
Yes. They explicitly stated that if these shipping companies pay any tolls, transit fees, or, protection money to Iran for safe passage through the strait, they risk immediate and devastating U.S. sanctions.
The Wall Street Journal piece was very heavy on this detail, but I'm trying to figure out how that actually plays out in reality. I mean, the U.S. isn't sending naval boarding parties to every single commercial vessel to check their receipts.
Oh, they don't have to. Not even close.
How so?
The U.S. relies on secondary sanctions, and those function through the dominance of the U.S. dollar in global trade. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Most international shipping contracts, insurance policies, fuel purchases, they're all settled in dollars.
Right, okay.
And those transactions must eventually clear through the SWIFT banking system or through U.S. correspondent banks.
Oh, wow. So if the U.S. Treasury flags a shipping company for paying a toll to Tehran,
that company can be instantly locked out of the entire dollar-based financial system overnight.
So instead of a physical blockade, the U.S. is using the financial operating system of the globe.
Exactly.
It's basically like telling an app developer that if they allow a banned user onto their app, Apple will permanently delete them from the App Store.
That is a perfect analogy. The shipping companies are terrified of being deleted from the global financial app store.
Yeah, I mean, it would ruin them. So the U.S. is essentially telling these global shipping companies, if you pay the toll troll to safely cross this bridge, we'll freeze your bank accounts.
Yep. The U.S. has effectively outsourced the blockade to the compliance departments of these massive logistics companies.
That puts these international companies in an impossible bind.
It creates an agonizing calculus in the boardroom, right? Do you risk having a multi-million-dollar oil tanker seized or fired upon in the Strait because your captain refused to pay the local transit fee?
Right.
Or do you pay the fee to ensure the physical safety of your crew, only to wake up the next morning and find out your entire global fleet is uninsurable and you can't process payments anymore?
But wait, doesn't that effectively paralyze the waterway even further? I mean, the Strait becomes unnavigable not just because of Iranian military threats, but because of American financial compliance.
It absolutely contributes to the gridlock.
It feels like the U.S. is cutting off Tehran's revenue stream, but simultaneously guaranteeing that the oil doesn't flow anyway.
It's true. The secondary sanctions create this invisible wall that is honestly often more impenetrable than a naval destroyer, because corporate risk aversion kicks in long before a ship ever even reaches the Gulf.
Wow. Okay, so we have Iran's new concurrent negotiation proposal sitting on the desk, and we have this intense U.S. financial squeeze operating in the background.
Right.
When the proposal from Pakistan finally landed, how did U.S. leadership actually react?
Well, the reaction was incredibly fast, highly public, and entirely dismissive.
Really? Just shut down right away?
Yeah. Donald Trump spoke directly to reporters and stated explicitly that he is not satisfied with the proposal Iran presented.
He didn't leave much room for ambiguity there.
No. And he also pointed the finger directly at Tehran for the broader diplomatic failure. He claimed the gridlock is a direct result of intense conflict within Iran's own leadership circles.
So he's basically painting a picture of a deeply fractured Iranian government that can't get out of its own way to finalize a deal.
Exactly. And he laid out a very binary vision for how the U.S. might proceed from here. He framed the American response as two distinct paths. He said the options are either to smash them and finish them forever, or to make a deal.
Smash them and finish them forever.
Yeah.
I mean, that is not diplomatic language.
It is absolute maximum pressure rhetoric.
Wow.
Now, initially during that same interaction, he noted that he didn't want to choose the military option. He specifically cited humanitarian reasons for that.
Okay, so in that moment, he seemed to be leaving a crack in the door for diplomacy, even while rejecting this specific framework from Pakistan.
Right, initially. But the messaging didn't stay there. His tone shifted quite radically just a few hours later.
Oh, really? What happened?
This is where the volatility of the situation becomes so dangerous. Later that same day, during an evening speech at an event in West Palm Beach, Florida, his messaging hardened significantly.
What did he say?
He stated to the crowd that it might be better if there is no deal made at all. He added that the entire situation has been allowed to drag on for too long.
Wait. If the Pakistani mediator delivered this draft on Thursday night, and by Saturday the U.S. leadership is already publicly dismissing it, highlighting internal Iranian dysfunction and pivoting from, I prefer a deal for humanitarian reasons, to maybe no deal is better. Does that effectively mean this back-channel diplomatic route was dead on arrival? Like before anyone even had time to analyze it?
It certainly suggests the U.S. is not interested in the current terms of engagement. Look, when back-channel diplomacy is successful, both sides usually agree to a media blackout to protect the fragility of the talks.
That makes sense. Keep it quiet.
Right. So by immediately broadcasting dissatisfaction and then shifting the public stance toward preferring no deal at all, the U.S. is signaling that they believe their financial squeeze is working.
Ah, so they're trying to force Iran to offer significantly deeper concessions before they'll even authorize the mediators to schedule a real meeting.
Precisely. They're playing hardball.
But action causes reaction in geopolitics. You can't publicly swat away a diplomatic proposal, even a highly conditional one, and expect the other side to just quietly draft a better offer.
No,
You can't.
and the response out of Tehran was immediate. If the diplomatic window was slammed shut by the U.S. rejection, Iran's military establishment kicked their door wide open.
I saw this in the Al Jazeera reporting.
Right. By Saturday morning, following the comments out of Florida, Mohammad Jafar Asadi made a very direct public statement.
And just to put a pin in that name for our listeners, Mohammad Jafar Asadi is not some low-level media surrogate. He is a highly influential commander within the central apparatus of Iran's military.
Yes, when he speaks, he is articulating the position of the armed forces. He is the physical embodiment of the hardline military wing.
And what was his statement?
Asadi stated unequivocally that a new wave of conflict between Iran and the United States is now likely.
He didn't say possible or a risk. He used the word likely.
He did, and his justification was directly tied to the swift rejection of the Thursday proposal.
How so?
He claimed the evidence clearly demonstrates that the United States does not adhere to its promises or respect negotiated frameworks. So, from the military's perspective, attempting to find a diplomatic off-ramp with Washington is just a futile and dangerous exercise.
Basically, why are we even trying to talk to them?
Exactly, and the regional reporting from Al Jazeera really corroborates this shift in posture. They reported that Iranian forces are currently fully ready to respond to any American movements in the region.
And, in military terms, fully ready doesn't just mean troops are awake.
No, it means radar systems are active, it means anti-ship missile batteries are prepped, and naval assets are fully deployed.
So it exposes the very dynamic the U.S. reporting pointed out, right? A clear split in messaging and strategy within Iran.
Oh, completely.
Because you have the diplomatic wing of the government, which is watching the domestic economy crumble under the weight of these secondary sanctions, trying desperately to find a creative way to negotiate concurrent relief.
Right, that's the Thursday proposal.
And then on the other side, you have the hardline military wing, their Revolutionary Guard components, who view any compromise as a vulnerability. They believe that sheer military deterrence in the Strait is their only true security guarantee.
It honestly looks like a massive geopolitical good cop, bad cop routine.
Yeah, it feels almost exactly like that. The diplomats step forward and offer the olive branch, the concurrent negotiation on the Strait and the nuclear program.
And then the U.S. publicly rejects it.
Right, it gets swatted away, so the military instantly steps up to the microphone, rattles the sabers, and essentially says, "We told you the Americans wouldn't listen. Prepare the missile batteries."
Exactly. And whether it is a carefully coordinated routine or just the organic result of a genuinely fractured government, the strategic outcome is identical.
Which is?
The military wing now feels entirely vindicated. The failure of this back-channel proposal gives them the internal political ammunition they need to prepare the country for a resumption of open hostilities.
Wow. Okay, let's pull all these threads together for you. We are standing on an incredibly fragile April 8th ceasefire that is just fraying by the hour.
Fraying fast.
Iran utilized Pakistan to offer a major structural shift in their strategy, proposing to concurrently negotiate the reopening of the vital Strait of Hormuz in exchange for the U.S. lifting its maritime blockades and easing nuclear sanctions.
But the U.S. swiftly rejected that framework, choosing instead to double down on the weaponization of the global financial system.
Right, by threatening those secondary sanctions against international shipping companies and publicly floating the idea that no deal is better.
Washington is essentially betting that maximum pressure will crack Tehran before it cracks the global energy market.
And the immediate reaction from Iran's Central Military Command is to declare diplomacy futile and a new wave of conflict likely, with regional forces fully mobilized. The cycle of escalation is violently resuming.
It is a powder keg.
And this is exactly why this matters to you listening right now. This isn't just distant political theater. The fate of the Strait of Hormuz directly dictates the cost of international shipping, which dictates the price of oil, which dictates the inflation of every physical good you purchase. A miscalculation in a 2-mile-wide shipping lane ripples out to your bank account within weeks.
It really does. And as we watch this military posturing escalate in the coming days, I think we have to look past the immediate threats and consider a much larger structural question.
Oh, what are you thinking?
Well, if crushing economic sanctions from the West and escalating military blockades from the East result in the Strait of Hormuz transitioning from a negotiated passage into a permanent, heavily militarized no man's land, does this geopolitical crisis accidentally become the greatest catalyst for global green energy adoption in human history?
Oh, wow.
Think about it. If oil becomes simply too geopolitically expensive and dangerous to ship, does the conflict over this one waterway finally accelerate the death of the combustion engine entirely?
Wait, really? That is a staggering unintended consequence to consider.
It's the ultimate irony, isn't it?
It is. I mean, when the cost of moving oil isn't just measured in dollars, but in naval destroyers and collapsed supply chains, the math of global energy changes overnight. We will absolutely be tracking where these military assets move next and what happens to that shipping lane. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Stay curious, keep questioning the headlines, and we will catch you on the next one.